Hello everyone and welcome to another session of Sociology. So we are going ahead with discussion for chapter 24, that is population dynamics. So as you know that we have finished part 1 with two topics from the chapter, that is population size, growth, composition and distribution, components of population growth, birth, mortality and migration. These two we have already done in the part 1 and this is the last part of the discussion. That is, today we are going to discuss about population policy and family planning, emerging issues that are aging, sex ratio, child and infant mortality and reproductive health. So let's start. Population policy and family planning. So population policy and family planning come as part 3 of this chapter. So we'll start by saying that what is the growth trend globally and India. Okay, globally increased to 3 times in last century, that is from 2 billion to 6 billion, whereas Indian population increased 5 times. Okay, that is from 238 million to 1 billion. So when you start writing the answers, this chapter requires certain statistics, some data required, because more into GS point of view this chapter goes around, but you have to write question maybe from a GS point of view, but you have to write answer in a very sociological point of view or social perspectives you are asked to include. Okay, please write answers in that perspective. So then also nonetheless you have to provide certain data. So please keep these data ready when you start writing the answers. When question comes with regards to population policy and family planning, just include certain data with respect to global population and Indian population, how their growth trend has been going. And yeah, then we can continue by saying that India is the first country to explicitly announce official population policy. So in the world, the first official population policy has introduced by India. So with regards to first population policy, in 1952 we have something called National Family Planning Program which come up. Okay, the first one in the world, some policy formation by any country which is done is there in India, and the first one is 1952 National Family Planning Program. This is to influence the rate and pattern of population growth in social and desirable directions. So what was our aim? Socially, whatever required or desirable, the rate and pattern of population growth will change. Okay, so whatever was existing during the pre-independence period, we are trying to frame the trend, the population pattern and the rate of population growth post-independence way, how India wants socially in a very desirable direction. So aim of the plan was that. Okay, now let's see. India's population policy evolved through various broad phases. We'll see with reference to 5-year plans. Okay, so in the first and the second plan, controlled birth rates, clinical approach to sterilization, these two measures were adopted. So what was focused? First one is that control birth rates. Okay, we have to control the birth rates, and clinical approach of sterilization was introduced in the first and the second plan. We know that pre-independence period, Indians conditions were very bad, that there was lack of infrastructure facilities in medical sector, that the sterilization approach or clinical approach for birth control was not available across India. So the first and the second plan kept a perspective by thinking that okay, let's make at least this phase available to people. So something introduced called a clinical approach or a hospital facility from primary health centers to tertiary health centers. There was facilities available for birth control. So that was introduced in first and the second plan. Okay, and with respect to third plan, when we are seeing, due to unexpected high population growth in 1961 census, this third plan was framed. Okay, so third plan was framed with respect to that. Clinical approach was replaced by extension education approach. Please note this one is very important. Extension education approach during this plan. So clinical approach was taken in first and second, that we know, but there was some still we were seeing that there is unexpected high population growth in 1961 census. So government has switched the policy or replaced the policy from clinical approach towards extension education approach. So let's see what is this extension education approach. Extension education approach. So in this particular policy, the country was more into a creation of social climate in favor of small family norms. Okay, so all policies or the directions of the government, desirable social goal was towards a development of small family. Okay, second one is that provision of readily accessible services were given with respect to medical services, etc., and awareness, education across the people. And third one is adoption of effective family planning methods were also taken. With regard, we'll see what are the different planning methods. Stimulating social changes were also done. Okay, so mainly 4 things were done in the extension education approach. First one is creation of a social climate. So more desirable goal or more importance was given to development of small family. Okay, so that population growth rate can be reduced or curtailed. Second one was provision of readily accessible services were provided. Third is adoption of effective family planning methods were given, and also social changes were stimulated right from the government point of view. And certain policy measures included by Government of India in this extension education approach are increase marriage age. Okay, the plan was to increase the marriage age. Second one is education regarding the sexual education, family planning, sterilization methods. All this awareness was spread across people. Then employment of women was given more importance. That is, if a woman is employed, she will have diverted their attention towards both employment or the work and then towards family. So the aim of having n number of children for making workforce for the field or labor for family field or agriculture, this aim will be curtailed, and more she is employed means her point of view also will be developed. So that was one of the aim. Second, third, fourth one is that reduce the infant mortality rate. IMR means infant mortality rate. And next one is higher the sex ratio. Okay, better will be the development. So we'll come to sex ratio. What is sex ratio? What is India's trend? Everything in the coming session. Coming slides we include. So we'll discuss there. Then sixth one is overall economic development was one of the aim in the extension education approach. And last one is continued research and evaluation with regards to how we can change the current trend of growth, how population growth pattern can be improved with respect to socially desirable goals. Then we come to fifth 5-year plan. With respect to fifth 5-year plan, there was a shift from the policy, that is, family planning services were integrated with welfare services. Okay. Welfare services means whatever service available to the general public from the government, maybe in a very less cost or maybe free of cost. So when all the services were given, family planning or the number of members in the family or number of children were taken care. Okay, how many children a couple have was taken care. So this have put a stoppage or second thought about the people in the country that whether to have more child or to give better development or welfare perspective to the existing 1 or 2 child. So this was a big change in the fifth 5-year plan. Okay, then family planning program suffered a setback during the year of national emergency in 75 to 76 because coercive measures were taken. Coercive means forceful sterilization which is forceful and not in a hospital setup. Something like an ambulance is taken to the village and then sterilization was done in the ambulance. All these things, coercive methods were taken. So that have given a higher setback, and people voted against the current government during that time. That we all know about the history. Okay. Therefore, National Family Planning Program was renamed as National Family Welfare Program. After emergency, coercive methods were no longer used. That was put a stop. Okay. Current population policy announced, what we having now is, which is announced in 2000. Multi-dimensional view of population control we are having now, and converting large population from liability to an asset. Liability means it's a problem for us. Okay, it's a something like a burden. Okay, we have to do with this to an asset. Asset means it will be good for us in a positive perspective. Okay, we can make utilize of this perspective. So the aim was to convert larger population from a liability to an asset. How to fetch the benefits out of demographic dividend was the aim with respect to population policy, which is announced in 2000. Now let us understand what is the current population policy. So currently India have national population policy which is framed in 2000, and we have few targets with respect to this. So with respect to targets, we'll see what are the targets. Reduce IMR to 30. Infant mortality rate we have to reduce to 30 is one of the target. Reduce maternal mortality rate to 100. I'll talk about what is IMR, MMR in the coming slide. Don't worry. Within 5 minutes we'll discuss. Okay. And increase child and maternal and reproductive health. Okay, what all things our target was to reduce IMR, to reduce MMR, and also to increase the child. Maternal means the mother, and the reproductive health we have to increase. Prevent communicable diseases and diseases like AIDS. Okay, that will also have a huge hit on the population trend and the growth. So we have to prevent all these diseases. 100% birth and death registration have to be there in India. That is also an important formulation. And special focus on health and education strategies. Target stable population by 2065. Initially it was 2035 and now it is shifted to 2065. Our stable population India is focusing to have in the year 2065. Okay, increase number of health workers including ASHA workers. So now we are in 2020. So there is a lot of changes from 2000 to 2020. In this 20 years, government tried to implement many of these targets. Okay, we can see that. And finally, increase availability of contraceptives. We'll see some of the family welfare programs which was adopted by government. So family welfare programs. First one is National Rural Health Mission, NRHM. Okay, this is launched in 2005. Primary focus on maternal and child health, and later merged with the National Health Mission. National Health Mission. So this will be useful to you in the GS also. When we are reading newspaper or when we are seeing current affairs magazines, we will come across many terms like National Rural Health Mission, NRHM, ICDS, JSY, all these things. But you may not have an understanding about how it has originated, what was the scenario that these policies were formulated. So through this discussion, you will get a clear picture about how these policies are formulated, for what perspective, in which scenario, which time it was evolved. So it will be easy for you to more integrated understanding with other topics. Okay. So NRHM was a family planning program introduced in 2005. Primary focus was on maternal and child health, and later it merged with National Health Mission. Next we'll discuss about Janani Suraksha Yojana. JSY is also a part of NRHM, and now it is part of National Health Mission. Decrease maternal and neonatal death, and institutional delivery was given main importance by providing cash assistance for undertaking institutional delivery. So for the statistics in 2020 says that less than 80% only birth takes place as institutional delivery in India. That means another 20% plus will happen either at home or other similar setups, which is not preferable. We have to move more towards institutional delivery to serve mother and the child. Then only we can decrease maternal and neonatal death. Third one is ICDS. ICDS, we know, Integrated Child Development Scheme. In this program, focus was given on mother and the child. It was launched in 1975. Holistic development was given importance. Immunization was given. Vaccination was given importance. And care and nutrition of children below less than 6 years was also given importance. Nutrition and health education of pregnant and lactating mother were also focused upon. Last one is UIP, that is Universal Immunization Program. You all know about the program. Certain standards were kept and certain list of diseases were kept as a standard across India, so that from the time child is born, from 3 days to till the child acquires 2 or 3 years, there are certain sets of vaccination have to be taken, and it is formulated in a policy called Universal Immunization Program. The last one we'll talk about PM Swasthya Suraksha Yojana scheme. So this scheme is actually aimed to reduce the imbalances across the tertiary level health service. Okay, so we have primary, secondary and tertiary healthcare services that is decided for every area. For a particular region, these three services have to be there. That is, if a case is not handled at the primary, it will be referred to secondary, and if it is not even able to handle secondary, it will be referred to a tertiary level service. What happens in India is that every region does not have these three care centers. There are imbalances across the states and between the states, interstate and intrastate or inter-regions we can say. There are imbalances that some regions only will have a primary sector, some regions even have secondary but absence of tertiary. So all these things result from people have to commute from one place to another for better treatment. So this have increased the mortality with respect to mother or maternal and neonatal. So this we have to reduce. So we can reduce this only by making tertiary level healthcare available or reachable across the places in a equitable manner. And we have to, second one, we have to take care of the quality of medical education. Quality of medical education, especially with respect to underserved states. The last topic of this chapter of population dynamics is emerging issues. So this is the fourth part of the syllabus. And emerging issues we are going to discuss here are four emerging issues, that is aging, sex ratio, child and infant mortality and reproductive health. So let's get into the first one, that is emerging issues, aging. So we'll talk about the aging. Aging is defined as accumulation of changes in personality. So one statement or one line definition you can learn with respect to aging is accumulation of changes in personality is a one-way description of aging. Changes can be biological, social and psychological. So how accumulation of changes can happen? Accumulation of changes in personality or personality changes will happen biologically, socially and psychologically. Aging as a phenomenon poses challenges for the individual as well as for society. So challenges will come across individual as well as society. Example, we are talking about India and Japan. India 2011 census, more than 100 million people is 60 plus. That means aged people. While in case of Japan, we are seeing old age and dependency ratio is more here. Okay, according to UN Population Division, 2050 census predicted in India is that more than 315 million people will be 60 plus of aged. Okay, we are predicting or we are. Next, we will look into certain theories in the process of aging and its social implications. So here we are going to talk about disengagement theory, age stratifications theory and roles theory. These three theories we'll discuss. In disengagement theory, this theory states that as persons grow old, they disengage from larger society to find meaning to their lives. So since we are talking about aging, we have to see in that perspective. When people grow older and older, what they'll do that they would like to disengage from society, larger responsibilities, etc. to find meaning to their life. It purely depends upon the aging. When you go 60 plus, your concept towards life will change. It is that theory. Second one is age stratifications theory. Okay, before that, these theories are not part of the syllabus. Okay, I'm giving you these theories to enrich your answers. You can just name the theory, write one statement about this and leave. You don't have to study in detail. You don't have to read anything in detail. Just that if a question comes from aging, you can quote these theories. That's it. Next is age stratification theory. In sociology, age stratification refers to hierarchical ranking of people into age groups within society. Okay, depending upon the age groups, we will be defined as how responsible they are or what kind of respect will be given, everything. Okay, it also defines inequality linked to age. Okay, first certain different groups this kind of equality is given, certain age groups are not given importance. So all these things are linked to age stratification theory. Last one is roles theory. Roles theory says that a man performs various roles over lifetime. Even traditional Hindu notion of various phases like Brahmacharya, Grihastha and Vanaprastha is related to concept of aging and social roles. So roles also related to the age is what we are talking about. Next is emerging issue is sex ratio. So I have told you in the previous slide, we'll discuss in detail. So definition of sex ratio is that sex ratio is defined as ratio of male and female population. Okay, ratio of male and female population is called sex ratio. Indian census, or according to Indian standards, now sex ratio is number of females per 1,000 males. Okay, but when you're seeing globally, it is like males per 1,000 females. It is the opposite. So that to take care. In India, how is it? India number of females per 1,000 males. But when you see globally, if we see that number of males per opposite, males per 1,000 females is taken as sex ratio definition globally. Next is factors responsible for the poor sex ratio in India. So we know that there is poor sex ratio, that is number of females will be always low with compared to males. So that is the meaning of lower sex ratio, and there are certain factors to that. These factors include female feticide, neglect of girl babies. These all things does not require much explanation. Very simple thing. But keep a note, write in a notebook and revise it frequently so that when a question comes, without wasting much time, you can directly get into the answer. Okay, I'm providing these notes for that. Neglect of girl babies, increase infant death rate, etc. Violence against women, dowry, death, honor killings and sexual violence and migration. All these things are factors responsible for poor sex ratio. Now we'll see first one is female feticide. Female feticide, of course, inside the womb only we are trying to kill the baby if the baby is a female. So this also reduces the number of females taking birth, thereby resulting in poor sex ratio. Second one is neglect of girl babies. Even in the childhood or the baby stage, that is 0 to 1 year, they are not given much importance because the only reason is that the baby being a girl. Because of that, there is increased infant death rate happens. This will result in lower sex ratio. Then we have violence against women, dowry, deaths, honor killing, sexual violence. All these things are social causes which result directly in a poor sex ratio. And finally, migration also. About migration, we have discussed in detail everything in part 1. Please go there and see if you have any doubt. Then lower sex ratios are found in most prosperous regions of India. Example, Haryana and Punjab. This you can use it as a statement in prelims. Person who don't know about the statistics will mark it as wrong, but this is the truth. Lower sex ratios are found in most prosperous regions of India like Haryana and Punjab. Therefore, problem of selective abortion is not due to the poverty, ignorance or lack of resources. So this shows what? It is not because of poverty, ignorance or lack of resources. It is like a social cultural issue that there is a lower sex ratio. Next, we'll talk about emerging issues, child and infant mortality. In child and infant mortality is death rate of children of age 0 to 1 year per 1,000 child born. Okay, 0 to 1 year child per 1,000 live births is called the infant mortality rate. India 2019 statistics says that it is 34 per 1,000 live births, but Asian countries, when you're comparing, it is very less, 25, OECD countries 5, China it is 21 and Sri Lanka it is 15. And inside India also there is state, it varies from one state to another. For example, infant mortality rate in Kerala is 6, whereas in UP and Bihar it is 43 and 38 respectively. Next, we'll talk about various factors that affect child and infant mortality. What are the factors that results in child and infant mortality? First one is biological factors. There's a reason. Age of the mother is a reason. Interval between two children. When talking about interval between two children, if at least 3-4 years gap has to be there as per WHO, at least 3 to 4 years gap have to be there between two children. Then only there will be a healthy sustenance for both the baby and the mother. So if this gap is not there, interval is not there, then it will affect the child and the infant mortality. Also it affects the mother. Weight at birth is a reason. Antenatal care, hygiene, diseases, poor immunization. All these things are factors that affect child and infant. Very simple concepts. And one important thing with respect to India is practice of breastfeeding. This is good in India. Because of that, naturally we were able to reduce the infant mortality rates. We have a culture of breastfeeding. Next, we'll see social consequences of high infant mortality. What are the social consequences if there is increase in the infant mortality rates, that is from 0 to 1, that is from 0 to 1 year, if there is more number of babies die, what are the social consequences? First thing is that indicators of backwardness and poverty. This is showing because there is no development in the medical sector, treatment is not available, care is not given. Because of that, only infant babies die. So there is a backwardness and poverty among these areas. Then because of increased IMR, couple will be aiming to have more number of children, because even though a couple have 2 or 3 children, they always have a feeling that anytime these babies will die because of the high infant mortality rate in the region where they live. So they intend to have more children so that at least in the adulthood they will have few to survive. Okay. Then health of mother decreases with multiple cycles of pregnancy and psychological trauma associated with it. We have something called postpartum depression. So this is also related to that. Then we have economic burden. Increased in dependent population will be increased if you have more children. Last one is reproductive health in emerging issues. So reproductive health is concerned with issues like ability to reproduce, safe motherhood, prevention from sexually transmitted diseases, hygiene and family planning. It's a very easy concept. What is the reproductive health of a woman or the couple who is cohabiting partners? They will be ability to reproduce, safe motherhood have to be there, prevention from sexually transmitted diseases like AIDS, etc. Hygiene have to be there, and proper family planning have to be there. All this shows reproductive health of a population. Important social and demographic indicators which is closely related to maternal are maternal mortality, neonatal mortality, and overall health of cohabiting partners. We just discussed this. Finally, we'll see what are the key factors adopting reproductive health. Key factors are malnutrition, proper adult education, age of marriage, lack of medical infrastructure, and social beliefs against menstruation. So first we'll see malnutrition. Of course, an anemic mother will provide only an anemic child, and therefore there is a low birth weight baby will be produced. So malnutrition is directly linked. Proper adult education have to be, awareness have to be given, sex education have to be given to people, and age of marriage have to be followed clearly. So in India, there says that more than 30% of the population of the girls will get married below 18 years of age. So therefore, their motherhood also be fast with respect to that. So age of marriage is not strictly followed across India. That have to be taken care. Lack of medical infrastructure, I told you. Even some medical emergency, some people have to commute long distances to get available for better medical services. This increases the this will make problem for the reproductive health. And last one is social beliefs against menstruation. Across the country, there are different beliefs with respect to menstruation. The concept of impure, pollution, all the stereotypings are there with regards to menstruation. So these are the this have to be avoided to have a healthy reproductive system across the country.